Hey there, welcome back and thanks for joining me. All my supplies and equipment is down in the description box and most of them have links, so check that out if you're wondering what kind of things I use. We are going to investigate all the ways to make leaves. These are the things that I do when I'm wanting to create a foliage or a leaf or something here and there. So there's about 10 of them, so hang out and see which ones you like the best. Keep that knowledge in your head and let's go. So this is alcohol with ink. Now I am also using Marabu, olive green, and the Ranger bottle. Those are the two colors I'm using. Of course you can do any colors, but I've got a blow dryer and I'm gonna go ahead and use the Ranger on this one. So if I'm wanting to make a long leaf and I'm kind of wanting to put the alcohol to it, this is what I'm going to do. Now, I go back and forth. I don't try to create a very longer leaf, but this is kind of what I'm wanting to do. Now, I don't like this little guy right here, so I'm going to hit this and kind of mess that up a little bit and run it down the leaf if I need to take up some of that liquid. So there's roughly a leaf. It indicates. And after all, in alcohol ink, you pretty much indicate. So the next one is the ink with alcohol and the airbrush. This is going to give you a little bit of a different look. Not probably a lot, but not everybody's got either the blow dryer or the airbrush. So this is just giving you some knowledge that you can use both things and what it looks like using them. Now, of course, this is drying much slower because there's no heat. And so you need to kind of figure you're going to be working it back and forth for a little bit until it evaporates. And I go blowing sideways like this because leaves tend to have a lot of those vertical lines. And rather than me going back and forth this way, I do this way. So there's your difference on those two. They're the same amount of ink and the same amount of alcohol, but you can see they look a little different. Okay. The next one is, we cover the area and then use the alcohol lift ink and do that. So let's just do that. I'm going to use the Ranger again. Put that down. And this is if you've already got a background picked out. And I've done this on one of my previous videos. So I'm going to pick these. A rubber stamp with the leaves on it. You can do flowers. You can do all kinds of stuff. So put that on there. I press down. Now I'll leave it for a second. Let it do its thing. And what you want to do is after it sits for a few seconds, kind of rub it, kind of pick up excess, let it sit for a second, and then you want to start just wiping it off. So there you go. That's what we call a negative effect. So when your subject is whited out like that, and so that's a really cool thing. Now, the other is definitely depositing the color. And we take a stamp, and these are the distressed ink. And there. So this one you're depositing color for the leaves. This one you're taking away the color. So there's that idea. All right, this is with a brush. So I've got my handy dandy brush here, and I've got a tray that I used to put my color in, and I'm going to use the bottle in this one. And very quickly that brush just soaks it up. There we go. Now what I'd like to do is kind of start around, mess with it a little bit, let it get a little thicker. I don't want it too runny. Then you can do kind of whatever leaf you want. And even that's too runny because it's starting to spread. I don't want it to really spread. So let's stir that just a little bit. Let it evaporate a little. I think that's still a little bit runny. This is the hardest one to do, I think, because you have to get it exactly. And then you have seconds to work with it until you need to add alcohol to it because it gets too thick. And you can see how those just blend into a solid. And what I'm wanting to do is keep it more with the lines in it. I want to keep a direction to it. And this is a little bit better. Now I keep this palette. This is from my blues, my greens, yellows, oranges. So I generally use the same one for the colors. And you can see as it gets thicker, how you can see the lines in it. So there is that. Actually swap them two because this is without alcohol, and so let's do that. Actually, to be honest, this one could be with the alcohol. So these could be this one. This here could be without the alcohol. So scratch what I've got written, because this is with the alcohol. It's going to do this. It's going to spread out and it's not going to have lines in it. This one is without the alcohol. It's going to have the lines. So ignore this. Go with these. All right. And ink without alcohol Marabus. I love these because here is why. So here's my leaf. It is so thick that it really just doesn't run. It doesn't start spreading out. It kind of stays in its little area, except for when I hit it real hard. And there's that look. And that's pretty cool. Now, this is the long one. If you're really wanting to make long, grassy leaves. There is that. Now, this is if you put it down, take your dryer and dry it. And that was the Ranger inks that I used. And you just put a drop of the alcohol down, and you make your leaves from this drop of dried alcohol, or ink, dried ink. Now, to back up to this, let's try the Ranger, and I'm going to show you the difference in the Marabu and the Ranger. So you've got a little difference there if you want to do something like that. But these are all the different ones you can do with the different techniques and the different inks. All right, finally we have the markers. Okay, the marker without alcohol is just the straight marker. You can take the chiseled in. You can do all kinds of leaves. So you can do all kinds of stuff there. Now, with the marker and the leaves, there's a number of stuff you can do on this one. So I've got alcohol put down ahead of it because I want a sharp point at the flower. I'm not sure what happened to my audio here, but my point of putting the alcohol in front of the marker is I want that point. I don't want it to be rounded, so if I'm buttoning it up against the petals of a flower, I can have more of a pointy end to it that's up against the flower. And this one, instead of blowing it out, I'm blowing it back and forth for a little bit of a fatter leaf. So I hope this gives you some great ideas to go out there and create some beautiful floral paintings, and just give you some ideas on different ways to make your leaves, different looks, and hope you can play. So I've enjoyed it, and y'all go have fun.